Okay, so it's been several weeks, in fact, a month or more, since I last did a video on this cherry picker. It's what did I call it? It's something. What make? Yeah, it doesn't actually say. Oh right, there you go. It's an upright TL33 cherry picker or platform, hydraulic platform. 1.3 tons, metric tons in weight. I think the height it climbs to is about 12 meters, maybe 14. Now, it's got some problems with the control electronics in here. Basically, this here is what controls the boom selection. If I flip that over, basically you select which hydraulic unit you want. Boom 1, boom 2, and rotate. All are selected on these three positions. So rotate is center, and boom 1 and 2 are left and right. So we have 3 gangs of micro switches on this unit, and each gang of micro switches is selected by pushing one of these buttons in here, and they were done. That was done by rotating this thing here. Now you can see by moving that around, a relative little piece of plastic popped forward and pushed one of these connectors in and out. The problem is the mounting which connected that over there in some sort of a manner like that is missing, broken. So I don't know what I didn't particularly like the way this was done, using all these micro switches and trying to get that thing to sit on top of there. I could have come up with something possibly to hold it, but they had these bits of black plastic which were mounted down there somehow, and somehow clipped around this unit and held the switches in place. But it seems so much of a faff doing this, so I opted for changing out this switching unit. So as I say, it's two gangs of 3 micro switches. Now you'll see, if you look at the diagram on the side, the first 2 of these switches in each gang are push to make contacts. So pushing that in makes these 2 switches connect, whereas the last switch on each of the 2 gangs is press to break switches. So I confirmed this by looking up the diagrams online and getting a printout of them. So I printed it out and I stuck this online on my social media page. So you can see, as I said, the first 2 switches on each side are press to makes, and the last 2 are press to breaks. So I started looking around for a better switching unit, and I was looking at these various Chinese cam switches that you can buy on eBay, and they're only about £7 per switch, and they come with 2 gangs of 3 switches. Basically it's double pole 3 position, or 2 position if you want to count on and off, and the center position be, well, it's let's just look at the switch. Basically you've got on, off, on. You've got 3 positions on these switches. That's rotated round, but basically this is the switch. Now the first thing I had to do with this was convert the back stage of the switch, because this switch was set up for on, off, on, whereas what I needed to do was I needed it to be the first 2 positions on each side to be ons when you flick that over, but the last position to be off. So when you turn that dial over there like that, that one's on, that one's on, that one's off, but the one over here is also still on. This one's off and this one's off, and then when you rotate that over that way, that back position there is off, and these first 2 are on, these 2 are off, and then that one is on. That's to duplicate this, and the way to do that is basically you take the switch apart, you take the screw out the front here off the control knob, which then gives you access to some screws on the back inside there. I don't want to take this apart again, and especially not on camera. It's quite a faff to do this. You'll notice I've marked up one side with a marker pen, which is so I had a point of reference when I was reassembling it. Now these things are seriously messy. The springs fly out on this when you strip them down. So what I had to do was I had to change the cam layout. It's a rotary cam, so you can sort of see a picture here which I took off eBay to give me a clue before I ordered it, and I stared at it and I thought, yeah, I should be able to reprofile the cam so that it does a different job. So I first started drawing down pictures of various ways that I thought the cam could be modified, and in the end I came up with an idea here. Now essentially what I've gone here with a cross mark through it, this is sort of how the cam worked, other than that little notch which is in the top there. Let's get a pen out of my pocket. One moment. Yeah, see that little notch I've drawn there in the top? That wasn't there. So what you basically had was a round disc with 2 notches cut in it, and essentially you've got a plunger with some contacts on it here, and when this plunger moves forwards and backwards, they open and close the contacts on each side. So by putting it in one position, this plunger came down into the notch and contacts were made there, and then by rotating the disc round the other way so that that plunger there fell into this notch, then that pair of contacts closed and this pair of contacts opened. So what I decided to do in the end was rotate the whole cam round 180 degrees so it looked like this. Then it still has this little piece coming out at the front, which is there, yeah, because it doesn't really matter, that part doesn't really come into the equation. But this part here, I extended the notch round on both sides, so you get the idea, I hope. Basically once you rotate the first 2 gangs of these switches to left or right positions, 1 or 3, let's call it. Well, 1 and 2 if you want to look at the picture. So you got 1, 0 and 2. So if you rotate that to, this is the last gang on the switch, so if you rotate this position to 1, then the contacts are opened, and if you rotate this switch to position 2, then the other pair of contacts are opened, if you follow. Meanwhile, the other 2 sets of switches in this unit are as they were originally, and they are making when you rotate it. So I basically took the unit apart and I turned one cam 180 degrees, and then I filed the, we'll call it the lobes on the cam profile, so that it works opposite to the way it was originally intended. So now I have this switch unit, which I should be able to face mount onto the device here, and then transfer all these wires over onto the contact points. Now you can see it's basically a screwdriver to take these wires apart and then move them over onto the switch unit. So possibly that's what I'm going to go and do now. What I think I will do, I've taken some photos, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape on these and then put some numbers down the switches, just in case I ever have to put them back into this, because for some reason this doesn't work out. So I'm going to get on with that, write numbers on here and put some tape, white insulation tape with numbers on, so that I know what went to what. Right, I hope that all makes sense. Back soon. Okay, so once I've swapped the switches over, it looks like that. So you can see this is I think quite a bit neater. The only thing I did have to do was a few of these numbers, I've transposed them basically where I've got a switch on one side and it's got the likes of, let's see, where have I done it? I've got, for instance, one here with 7 on it, and it's actually connected in 10. Yeah. Now basically what I've done is, because it's across a pair of contacts, I've just swapped the 2 wires around so that the likes of where are we? You know, basically to make it form in better on the setup. So basically the wires wouldn't reach. So where 2 wires were going to the same switch, and it made it easier to swap the 2 wires around so that they reached with other points. That's exactly what I've done. So that gives us a setup like we have now. So I've just drilled 4 holes through the front, just by placing the fascia board there. When you remove this little silver piece with the 1, 0 and 2 and the D and C logo on it, when you remove that, there's 4 screw holes behind there, so you basically drill through them with about 4mm drill bit, and they will line up with the screw mountings for the switch, or at least they should if you do it accurately, which I think I've done. Now we could have mounted this slightly lower on the casing. We could have basically re-drilled the mounting hole, moved it further down so that there'd be more room for the boom diagrams, but I think I'll get away with it if I put rotate up here, right rotate on, and I've got the picture of the boom each side, so it's showing me boom 2 there and boom 1 here. That matches with 1 here and 2 there. So I've tried to do it so that it all figures out correctly. So that should go all back together and screw down. Probably should have put some grease and contact, you know, WD-40 and God knows what else inside this thing to make sure that it all works right. So that is working alright. I know the switch is alright on this thing. So that's rotary, that's boom 1, boom 2. So we're all in business. Good news, eh? So now all I have to do is prove that this thing should work, or prove that this thing will work. Of course, I don't really like being inside the thing to do it, but sometimes that's all you can do, isn't it? Right, so here's our switch. Right, this position here is lower boom controls. That's these 3 switches here, or machine controls, and this one here is extending controls up to the platform, the bucket if you want to call it. Now yeah, all the legs are down on the platform. I don't think there's any lights to say that it's not level. The spirit levels are approximately correct. There's no alarm sounding. I'm not going to go very high in this thing for starters, but position 1, right, click, yeah, it is going up, right, then click backwards and it's back down again. Right, boom 2, click, yeah, that's operating. Click and back, and we're back down again. So that's a working machine. The rotate, you've got to get it up to a certain height before you do the rotate. Yeah, I think I might get someone else to come out here and be a test pilot, because there needs to be someone down on the ground who is capable of lowering this thing if I get it wrong. So I would rather be down at the bottom end controlling this thing and let someone else be up top, because I know I'd be able to get them down safely. So for the price I paid, I think I've got a reasonable deal. All I've had to do is grease up a few pins and charge the batteries, hook it up to the mains and so on, and replace the switch unit, and I think I've now got it functioning, so I'm quite happy about that. If I put that back over to there, we put that to boom 1. Right, boom 1 I think is this boom, right? because it's the first one in the machine. So if I click that and I do that, you see boom 1 is raising. And if I put that back to center, click and then down, it drops it. Right, put that to position 2, and boom 2 over there should operate. So here we go, click, and boom 2 is now operating, and you can speed it up. And of course I won't be able to reach it if I go too high, so let's get the thing back down again. And it's down. Well, almost down. Right. We're good. Good. So it's RAM 1 is switch position 1, RAM 2 is switch position 3, and center is left and right. Yeah. So when you're ready, give it a little push in, so operate the control, and then a little dip forwards, and it should go up. So that's RAM 1 operating, which is operating boom 1, which is this one, and then you switch it to switched position 2, and that's RAM 2 operating. Isn't she brave? Yeah, it's okay. It makes a little noise though. And it's down. Yeah, and center, and you're off. Okay, the next plan that I've got for the cherry picker is I wanted to swap out these batteries. Now, each one of these 4 batteries that it has are they're 6 volts, and they are these US battery, the make that's currently in there. Now, I did originally charge these up when I first got the machine in late December, I think it was, 23. I charged them up for possibly nearly 2 weeks in my garage, in 2 bunches of 12 volts, 2 batteries each to make up 12. But when I turn the cherry picker on these days, the actual machine is telling me that they're 70% discharged. If I put the key in, which I've now managed to free off, and I get to the control panel up here, if that red light comes on the display there, that means it's 70% discharged. And sure enough, the red light's on. Red light's on and the green light's on. The green light is basically saying that everything's level and functional, but the red light is the battery warning light, which basically is indicating that if I start using this, like going up in the air like so, that the battery life is not going to last very long. So the plan is I'm going to change these out, but the cheapest set of batteries I can get for this machine to that specification are £600 today in 2024. And considering I don't intend to use this a lot, for instance, I'm not going to be using it for several days at a time, rigorously up and down, up and down, up and down, you know, with tools and 2 people in it. I've decided I'm going to have a go at replacing the batteries with some smaller ones, which are a hell of a lot cheaper. I'm going to try some leisure batteries, which are for motorhomes, camper vans, caravans, stuff like that. They are deep cycle, but there's basically 2 12-volt batteries, so one 12-volt battery each side and a link cable, because they're all wired up in series. So I won't be needing the likes of these little cables here to join the 2 together. I'll just need a link cable going across, and then the pos on one side and neg on the other side. I think, yeah, this is the positive output here on this side, so the negative end will be hooked up to the power unit over on that side, and this here, there to there, will be the link cable. Right, so the batteries that I'm intending to use are considerably smaller. They are, well, they're sold on eBay by someone called Snappy, it looks like, and they're 20 volt, so the 12-volt batteries, 130 ampere hour, and there's 2 of them. So I'm going to have a go at moving them over and try. Okay, well, I fitted the thing. You can see they're definitely a lot smaller than the other units. They're also a lot lighter than the US batteries. I've hooked it all up now. One of the things is, I don't know whether this charger is going to be too high a capacity for this thing, so I might have to have a think about that, because I think this battery charger is rated at a 20 watts, no, sorry, a 20 amp output. Now, I would hope that it's some form of smart charger, and that it's intelligent enough to know not to keep putting tons of power into the battery. It's not showing that the battery is fully charged, so that's questionable, but it could be for some reason that these batteries do actually need a bit of a charge up. Now, they're normally sent out fully charged batteries you buy on eBay. Snappy battery. So, questionable, isn't it? Now, the other thing is, if I put it to here, will the RAM operate on the lower control box? And yes, it does. This is the slow speed operation, which is standard for the lower control box. So, and then it'll drop back down again, controlled. I still have a problem getting RAM 1 to operate from the lower control box in terms of the raise function. It does operate, but not at the low end. It seems to struggle quite considerably when you try it here. Oh, hang on. It is actually going up. Now, it hasn't done this for some time with the other batteries, so I think that's implying that these batteries are indeed better than the others. And now I've had them on charge for about 10-20 minutes, that they've come up even more. Now, it says in the manual you're not supposed to run this with the charger hooked up to it, functioning, but up to now I've not really found a problem with it. Not sure what the problem would be. The charger should be capable of understanding a short circuit or some form of overload, so that's alright. So we'll put this up. So I don't like doing it when I'm here on my own with me in the cradle, because it's not good practice. You end up having to call the fire department to come and get you down when you do silly things like that. So it is certainly raising. Now, I haven't had RAM 1 too far in the upwards, you know, in its fully operational, operation. So this is the first time I'm putting RAM 1 to, to a reasonable height. Now you can see RAM 1, the operation on this is actually pushing the basket forwards. So it's going forwards of the actual cherry picker base unit. If I stop it there, we can see it's quite far forward of the front now, of the picker. So it's a good 4 foot in front of the picker by raising it in that position. In theory, I should be able to do a rotation on this as well. Yeah, there she goes. You can see her spinning. Yeah, so these batteries do seem to be doing the job better than the batteries I had on it when I bought it. So we can stop that about there. Then we should be able to use RAM 2, which is this one here for the top. And RAM 2 should start to operate, which it is, you can see it. Now, this is looking pretty good. Now I should be able to put that up to about there, and then once you've got it to that height, you can actually turn the power off. So there's no real drain on the unit, and she's up there. With any luck, she won't be drifting down at any fast rate. Since I've repaired the lowering valve on RAM 1, or had a go at it myself, the RAM is mostly staying up there. As I say, they wanted between 100 to 220 pound to replace this valve with a new one, but I've managed to mess around with it myself and get it to function. Now that is, as I say, 4 or 5 foot forwards of the front of the cherry picker feet. So in theory, if I operate ram 1 again, that'll take it even further forwards. Which it is. I can hear oil flowing inside the machine. Oh no, it's actually rust falling out of the top out of the first boom 1. It's rust falling out. Yeah. So that is probably near 10 foot in front of the machine now. So if I position this around the back of my house, I know I don't have to have this right up close to the building in order to get to the back of the house there. So when I eventually position it, we should be okay. Problem is getting you round here because the ground's so soft. It should fit in here, probably with the feet in this area here, so I won't have to take it quite as close to the house as I was originally planning on doing. See, I've got lots of jobs. I've got window repairs to have a go at while they're in situ. I've got gutter issues to do up there. There's all sorts of jobs to do. So you can see the picker has got no real problems getting up to that height. Yeah. She seems to be staying there on the most part, not dropping, which is good. As I say, you can turn the power off when it's not in use. Though offhand, I'd say those batteries are probably going to do the job. I was just packing this up and about to turn off the power and so on, and just before I did it, the green light came on the smart charger, or on the charger, saying it was 100% charged, but the red light also came on now saying battery problem. Now it just could be that this thing is set so that it expects a certain rating of power from the batteries. This is purely guesswork though from me at the moment. So yeah, I just plugged it back in again to see if I could get the lights to come up, but the thing's probably going through some sort of a cycle at the moment and testing what it thinks the batteries should be at and so on, and it might take 20 minutes before that green light comes back on again. I don't know. Anyway, it does seem to be working. I've got a lot of de-rusting, grinding wheel work to be done all over this machine. I've done quite a bit already. Most of it is just surface rust. In fact, it is all the surface rust. The metal in this machine is so thick and heavy that it would take quite a long time for it to degrade significantly. Anyway, off we go.